for now, we are in our favorite hour and we have an interview, but I will let Modupe do the honors of introducing our topic and the guest.
It's my honor. Okay, so we have a guest in the studio. Today we're talking about the essence of financial investment, and to do that with us in the studio is Daniel Adeyemi, and he's a financial analyst who works on making it easier for young people to know what's happening in the world of finance. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Thank you for coming on the show.
Here.
Go on.
Okay, so now let's start with the definition of what financial investment is all about. What is financial investment?
Okay, so financial investment, to me, it's basically putting your money into a vehicle, a scheme, in order to enable it grow. Basically, you're trying to grow your money. That's financial investment.
Trying to grow your money.
Yes.
And I'm sure we have different types of investment, so let's hear it.
Yeah, so different types of different. So you have, so there are different ways to group it. You have, well, short-term, medium-term, long-term. Okay. But then also you have like different ways you can invest your money. Which is, you put it in the stock market, you put it into a business. So it's just, where can I put my money to grow? That's it.
Okay, so now the question is why? Why should we invest financially? What is the importance and the actual essence of financial investment?
I think everyone wants to be free. Everybody wants to. The essence of money is so you can do the things you want to do. So the reason why people want their money, their wealth to grow is so they have money, so they can actually control their destiny. So the essence of financial investment is to afford the life you want to live. That's it.
Okay, can financial investment lead you to financial freedom?
Yes, financial freedom. Yes, so financial investment is I use the word vehicle, it will take you to financial freedom. Yeah.
Hey, so I've heard quite a number of financial analysts and
advisors
talk about how it's important for every single person to have a knowledge or two about, finances basically. So even if we go ahead to have at least a little knowledge about it, is it really important for us to talk to someone before we invest?
Yes. So, yes, I agree. So we all have areas of strengths and areas of weakness. And I think it's important to talk to someone because we can't all focus on everything. And if the same way we go to meet people to fix our broken devices and all of that, the same way we need to consult with financial advisors because a lot of times we don't have time. Our jobs don't afford us the time to be able to focus on these things and learn it very well. But usually, people are told to, talk to your bank's financial advisor.
Okay.
And, partly they could help, really. But I think it's to look at, when you're looking for a financial advisor, you're looking for certain things. You're looking for, does this person have the knowledge? And does this person have proofs? And can this person guide me into financial freedom? So I think you might want to look at the financial sector. I won't say your bank is one, but sometimes there's this argument that your bank will most likely push things that
will benefit them.
Yeah, best fit them. So that's the clause I have against that. So I think it's I think it has to be based on recommendation, really. And say, this person. And yeah, so I think that's the best way to go about it. So I can't point you to one source, but I can say, ask around. I mean, what has the person done? What does the person know? And start the conversation.
Okay, so we've talked about having a financial advisor, researching and knowing with most things, there's like a cycle, a process of how to go about it. So what is the cycle? Is there a cycle for financial investment? And can you walk us through that? What's the process?
So like I said earlier, the goal is to afford you the life that you want to live. So I think the first step will be to, what do I really want? So how much am I looking at? How much do I want to earn, or what type of life do I want to live? If you're married, you have kids, then you're thinking of your children, you have to pay school fees, you want to go on vacations, all of that. So you have an idea of how much you want to have, say, in the next 5 years because, your kids might be in secondary school or university. So it's very important to define that end goal so you know what you're working towards. And then usually, I mean, it's a journey, right? I said financial investment is a vehicle. So it's a journey. So it's not just, I want to hit and I make it within the next 3 months. You're looking at where you want to go to. And so that's the first step. Then the next step is, how do I get there based on what I have? So a very good mindset around affording the life you want to live is saying, oh, how can I afford it, right? So that's a good way. So how much do I have and how can I afford it? A lot of times people, we shoot ourselves down and say, oh, I don't have a lot of money. But then how can you afford? Then you start thinking, okay, I have a job. Now, is there anything I can do by the side? And then we save to invest. So you begin to set aside money, irrespective of how small it is. And then before you can invest, you need to have money set aside. So then you start looking at, oh, what are the easy ways I could invest? It could even be a friend's business idea, right? These things, actually, nobody knows what happened tomorrow. So it's the end goal, then what you have. If you need to multiply your source of income, then you start putting it. Then, of course, working with a financial investor. If you have time to actually invest in learning these things, of course you can. And then step by step, building blocks, and then you're building your house, your financial dream house, yeah.
How much capital do you need? How does the capital work in financial investment? Because that would be a big problem for so many people, having to, have the money to invest and all of that. So how much capital is needed for financial investment?
Yeah, so I think it differs depending on who you are and what your goal is. Different people want different things out of life, and then different people have different circumstances. So I think a good place to start will be with, I don't know if I can put a number to it, but what I can say for sure is that, oh, nothing is too small, because we think we don't have money, and then you realize that something comes up and you just blow this amount of money on this. So I think it's when you know the end goal, that's a good place. Then start as little as, say, 1,000 or 500.
Oh, so, really?
So say you're setting aside, depending on how you earn your income. If you're salaried, then you know it's at the end of the month. But if you're a freelancer, for example, or you have a business owner, your income might not necessarily come at the end of the month. So it means you actually have to be putting aside money periodically, because if you don't, or out of every deal, every project, if you don't, then you can't wait to the end of the month like other people, or else you might have spent most of your money. So I think it's to not discount how much you're making, and most likely work with percentages. Like there's this rule that says, 10% of your money, pay yourself first. So you might even want to step it up and say, I'll do 20%, or maybe 30%, depending on how, because you know where you are going to. And usually the way it works is, if you can save up more money, I mean, that it will take up less time, right? And sometimes we have unexpected income. Someone just gives you money. So I think it's more of working with, not discounting how much you have, and then working with percentages. I think that's a good way. So you're stacking up. And then the thing about it is that opportunities come, and then you have money, and there's some things that are a matter of stroke of luck. I mean, opportunity comes, you have money. But if you don't have money, then, I mean, you're just looking, and then opportunity passes you by. So as little as 1,500, anything, just set it aside. We save so we can actually have money to invest. That's one of the reasons why we save.
Okay, so basically anybody can save.
Anybody can save.
All right.
Okay, so I've heard of real investment, and I think that has to do with real estate.
Okay.
What is funny?
Because it seemed like there was something I remember when we talked about real estate.
Investment.
Okay, can you?
He was trying to crack a joke.
Okay, but I get.
Okay, so now, putting it side by side with financial investment, which one do you say is a better investment, at least for someone that wants to start, engaging in making investment?
Okay, so you mentioned something about investment in real estate.
Yes.
So like real estate comes under like investment, so financial investment to grow. So I think real estate is a way, it's part of the ways you could actually invest your money in. So you want to have a house, maybe personally, so you never have to pay rent again, which is very good because that is cut off. Or you might say, I know of people who might be living in someone else's house, like they have a landlord, but then they're building houses so that people can live in, and then it's a source of income to them. So I think it's under financial investment, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense, even if just buying land, because while many assets, the value over time drops, very interestingly for land and building, the value goes up. So it makes sense to buy, get property, invest in that. And These days, you have different real estate firms that try to make it very easy for you.
Yes.
Even as a student, I've seen a lot of ridiculous like deals, and I'm like, wow, this is nice. So I think it's a very good use, and like I said, unlike other types of investments or properties, the value increases over time. So I mean, you don't know, they find an oil block just close to your land, and then it's now worth times 10 or times 100 of what it was before. So
Okay, but as enticing as what you're saying is the fact that it's beneficial financial investment. What are the challenges that one will face when it comes to financial investment?
the first might be financial inclusion. So it's the fact that a lot of people don't have access to these services, right? Say close to about 70. At the end of last year, it was said that about 70% of Nigerians have access to financial services. If that is true, it means 30% do not have. So it means that these people might not be able to have a bank account, might not be able to. So that's an issue that some people would face, right? Another thing is, it's valid that the way Nigeria is, the amount of disposable income, that's the money that you can use after settling your basic urgent needs, is very sparse, very little. So people will say, oh, but I can't even keep up with myself. I mean, how do I invest in these things? But investment takes a lot of, it's a sacrifice actually in the short term for the long term, but that's a valid concern. Actually, there are certain types of investment that people cannot get into because it's very capital intensive. So that's one. That's two. Then what else would you have? I think running into schemes, funny schemes, actually, if someone promises you 30% after a month and you're like, oh, wow. And then the thing is, it's always very important to try to understand how it works. And if you can't, then you have to rely on someone because it's like, why aren't other people doing it? I mean, are they all silly or something? So I think it's running into those schemes. There are many things, but I think those are very important things that for Nigerians we can hold on to and say, oh, wow,
These are challenges.
Yeah, roadblocks to financial investment.
I have a very funny question.
Go
There was a
ahead.
time that this MMM was going around. Can we call that a sort of financial investment also?
Is it?
Is it?
Yes, it is. I mean, it is a small investment because you put in your money, after 30 days, you get plus 30%. That's an investment. But then and it's short term, it looks very attractive. Yes, it's a form of financial investment. But then, I mean, yeah, it's a form of because financial investment is very inclusive. The fact that your money grows.
But it's a very risky one.
But it's risky.
Okay, risky. What if it's a scam? Does that still make it a financial investment?
Yes. So yes, it is. It is
For another person.
Well, it's a form of financial investment. Is it a legitimate financial investment? That's
we have
something.
illegitimate financial investment.
Yeah, you could put
Illegal.
it as that,
Okay.
but the word itself is not discriminatory. I mean, it's just focused on growth.
Okay, so now you talked about, having investment and people having the issue of capital because some investments are capital intensive. I'll ask you two in one question. What financial investment do you think is best for an average person? Average income, just, surviving, yes. And two, the second part of the question is, what would you say to people out there who are interested in making financial investments?
So let me start with the first one. Is what? So average, average person. So I would say that for an average person, so nowadays you have a lot of companies that are trying to make it easy for people to invest in these things. And so a suggestion would be, first that comes to my head would be, so one could be, investing in a business, right? Your friend wants to start something small, you want to start something small. I mean, put some small money into it. It gives you maybe equity, ownership, that's maybe 20%, 30%. That's something really, we tend to, we're looking at big things and then you forget that, this person beside you might actually do something that could blow. So you want to invest in your guys. That's one. Then in terms of, so people, you can actually invest in the stock market, for example. I know it sounds cliche, but I mean, it's true because it works and you have, within a week or a day, your investment could double. But this is something you really need to understand. Like I said, you could steadily, it depends on the time frame you have. You can invest in real estate too. That works too. You can start building your house, buy land first, and build a house. You could also invest in, the very most important thing is to invest in, assets that would bring in like money. So you
time.
have active or passive. So active means you have to be working to ensure, but passive means, oh, you're sleeping and then it's still making money for you. So it's looking at those two and saying, oh, what do I want to buy? Some people choose to buy a car and give it to someone to drive and then make money from them. It might not be a new car, it could be a second-hand car, but then hopefully if you do the numbers right and it works, because it has to pay back and pay, over. So I think it has to do with sitting down with, like I said, the financial advisor and saying, oh, this is what I have. And then you plan it and then you stick to your goal and then you don't get carried away with all these schemes that could come.
Okay, so what's your advice?
This second advice was, what's your advice to people that,
Yes.
just reiterate, please.
Yes. Yeah, what's your advice? What would you say to people who want to have financial investment?
I would say that they shouldn't count themselves out. And it's very important to just try to set aside money and keep your eyes for opportunities, because opportunities are like buses. There's always the next one coming. So even if you miss one, you shouldn't get bothered, because there's always another one. There'll always be others. So it's just to keep calm and set aside money. It would come and meet you. Then someone just comes. You know how the world works. You're looking for something, and then it comes. And then also there will be mistakes here and there, and it's fine. You would eventually. I always say that, like, there's no amount of money that I have lost that would be more than the amount of money that I would make. There are many more years ahead. So it's just to keep calm. That's what I say.
Okay. So in summary. It's important for us to capture what exactly the essence of financial investment is. So, like in a sentence, can you give us that essence of financial investment?
Yes. So, like I said at the beginning, the essence of financial investment is to be able to afford you the life you want to live. So that's really it. So the life that you want to live, not other people.
Okay, I think you said a vehicle to financial freedom.
Yeah, vehicle to financial freedom. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you
so
very
much,
much.
Daniel.